The Kliq owns this business.
Coming down the aisle, Bimbo Jimbo, baby Huey.
You know that I'm the cream of the crop. Give me a hell yeah. Today, I've got the style and profile like never before. It's showtime! Woo!
Live and in your face from our studios in undisclosed locations in San Francisco. This is In The Kliq. Bimbo Jimbo remotely alongside my tag team partner, Patient Zero, baby Huey. Hello, and welcome again, everybody. We're still alive, pal.
Jimbo, I like this. You and I talking on a Saturday night, talking some wrestling. I like the vibe right now. I'm digging this. I'm watching TV in the background. Got a little Empire Strikes Back on. So a lot of fun stuff to talk about right now.
Well, in the words of my former boss, I need you to just stay focused, Huey. Focus. Focus.
I was there for that.
That's a little inside shot for some people in radio. Pro wrestling stuff will never amount to anything. Suck ma.
Oh my God! ESPN is begging for content.
I know.
They quickly worked out a deal with WWE to fill content for the last 3 Sundays.
Yeah.
Because apparently, I don't know if you heard, the rumor was like that deal came down very last minute, like I think that second week in March. And so, yeah, you could thank WWE for keeping eyeballs on the ESPN network.
Yeah, absolutely. They're desperate for content, and WWE has answered the bell. So, you know, it's a great thing. It's been very awesome seeing the WrestleMania replays on ESPN, and like we talked about before, I hope that's a tradition that maybe continues in the future.
Absolutely. And also, just a little funny side note, so some of our coworkers over at our sister station, the sports station. Yeah, a lot of them were talking yesterday on Friday about what to do this weekend, and they all were in agreement of signing up for the WWE Network and tuning into this year's WrestleMania, just because it's the only brand new content event, sports entertainment event happening this weekend. So it's something fresh for everyone to tune into and just occupy their time this weekend. So, yeah, WWE getting a lot of attention and trending this weekend.
And that is what brings the microphone alchemist, Bimbo Jimbo, and Patient Zero, baby Huey, to you on this Saturday evening. It is night one of WrestleMania 36. It has happened, whether, you know, we've seen it now, and that's what we're going to talk about right here tonight. So the first time ever WrestleMania over more than one night in the Performance Center in the wake of coronavirus. My God, there's a lot to unpack here with night one, and
Yeah.
we'll start right from the right. Well, I guess we'll start with the quote unquote pre-show, which again I'm not sure why it exists, but that was something painful a lot of times.
Yeah, no, I was actually a few minutes late. So when I started getting your text on our little friend group text that we were all exchanging our thoughts throughout the night about WrestleMania, when you started texting your immediate thoughts, I was like, oh no, I had to quickly, because I was switching TVs and I was going upstairs in our living room, and I was trying to sign in and all that stuff. So I missed the initial beginning, but once I tuned in, yeah, I exactly started seeing what you were seeing and what your thoughts on that pre-show. It was interesting to say the least.
It was a little rough, and listen, I vastly prefer Mr. Rosenberg to Sam Roberts any day of the week, and twice on Sunday, or I guess twice on WrestleMania weekend, what have you. I would venture to guess that Sam will be on tomorrow, but I like Mr. Rosenberg. I do. I do not think that this was not it necessarily in terms of the implementation. It just, you know, going along with everything that we have, going on right now, all this uncertainty in the world, let alone WrestleMania. It just was not great presentation. I think there was one really awkward segment where Rosenberg was like, well, none of that. We're gonna have like a match. like talking about in the pre-show that they were going to have a match, but they never said what the match was. And that's, in my opinion, maybe because they hadn't decided which match was going to be on the pre-show. I don't know.
Well, that's the thing. Thanks to our buddy Mike Holler, who texted us this morning about the pre-show announcement. So, word just came out this morning of what they decided it's going to be the pre-show for today and for tomorrow. So, yeah, you and I were both like, oh, okay, yeah, that's going to be the pre-show match. And I'll just say this, with the pre-show with Corey Graves and Rosenberg, not a lot of chemistry between the two of them. It just didn't seem like they knew how to really flow off one another. Maybe just because the lack of experience working with the two of them, because Rosenberg usually does the pre-show at whatever pay-per-view he can make it to, and Corey Graves is part of the broadcast team. But yeah, it was a little awkward. It's just they just felt like they weren't used to working with each other.
Yeah, and I just think that there were maybe some nerves or some just sort of like, it's, the not having fans and everything, it makes you have to be sort of a different kind of performer. I know, just laying all my cards on the table, it's difficult for me to certain avenues, because when you, like, this right now is performance in a certain sense. What they're doing is performance. It's hard to turn it on in every possible sort of setting. And when you're doing this in a setting where you have a lot of uncertainty going on, there's no fans to sort of legitimize what you're doing, it can snap you out of it and make it weird to sort of put it over and act like what's going on is really important. So I would venture to guess that, the situation at hand played a large role in that. But on the pre-show, Cesaro defeated Drew Gulak, and it was a little under 5 minutes. It was what it was. But really the main thing I wanted to talk about was Stephanie McMahon's opening sort of address, sort of Vince McMahon-esque. I like seeing her out at the front of this and talking to the WWE fan base for this, once-in-a-lifetime WrestleMania situation that we find ourselves in. I thought it was very good overall. I liked her giving the sort of, again, the Vince-esque welcome to WrestleMania at the end of it. But there's this weird thing going on across the board in pro wrestling. It's not just WWE. Like, AEW addressed it more directly when Cody cut his promo in the ring, that there was things going on. But even Stephanie here just said, because of the current circumstances. Like, why can't they call it out by name? It's not like they have anything to be ashamed of about it. It's not like Voldemort or saying like the coronavirus by name is in some way, I don't know,
a taboo.
Yeah, to especially to what we're doing. Like, if anything, if we take anything away from tonight, it's that I think there's a lot of vindication feeling in WWE right now that they made the right decision to press forward in this sense.
Yeah.
You talked about ESPN wanting content. The world wants content. The world needs an escape about what's going on right now. And the fact that WWE pulled out all the stops, in spite of all of the shortcomings and things that they had to work around to provide a show for us tonight to entertain us. And so I think they should be commended for that. But I do think it's odd that they're not just saying, hey, look, we're in the midst of a pandemic right now, and we've had to adjust, but we wanted to come and entertain you, and we'll be damned if we're going to let the coronavirus take every part of our way of life and ruin WrestleMania weekend. I just don't get that. Like, when Vince came out at the SmackDown after 9/11, it was the first gathering of that size since the terrorist attacks, and Vince was in there and gave such a stirring address. I mean, again, probably the most powerful rendition of the national anthem we will ever see, with Lillian Garcia in tears. He called them out by name and showed no fear. And this is a virus. This isn't a terrorist organization. I just don't get it. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. It's weird because every other, quote, media outlet, entertainment outlet, all addresses it by name, either COVID-19 or coronavirus. It's out there. We all know about now. It's a whole worldwide situation right now, news event. So, yeah, it's weird that WWE, for a reason, it's like a taboo word or words to acknowledge it on their broadcast. I don't know why, but I'm with you. I think if they at least acknowledge it, it at least reminds us what's going on and reminds us why they're doing this. They still want to entertain us, and just, if anything, use that as a tool to amplify and get us motivated to tune in. I mean, and don't get me wrong, what Stephanie did, I loved it. I got goosebumps. Like, I was like, all right, here we go. It's WrestleMania. It's not the typical WrestleMania that we're used to, but hey, it's here. It's that time of the year. It's the biggest wrestling event that we always look forward to. But yeah, I just felt it's a little weird that they don't acknowledge it in some way, in some capacity, as far as the actual term coronavirus. I don't know why. I don't know if it's just some mandate behind the scenes, like maybe it was like an all staff email, just you cannot acknowledge this word or the words on the air. But I don't know why, Jimbo.
Yeah, it's very strange, but that was something that caught my attention, and I don't know how many times it will be said by the end of the weekend. Not as many times as I thought, but the term unique circumstances I thought would be the buzzword of this weekend. So let's get into your overall take without getting into specific matches, baby Huey, on night one of WrestleMania 36.
Overall, I enjoyed the show. I thought it was really good, and like you said, I was entertained. That was the most part. I think, considering the circumstances, the wrestlers, or excuse me, superstars, went out there and put their bodies on the line for no crowd, but yet they know millions of people around the world are tuning in. So to give them a credit, applaud them for going out there, putting their bodies on the line. And it must be tough for them. And when we talked to Drew McIntyre about it a couple of days ago, it's tough with no crowd there because you can't feed off their emotions and their energy to help amplify you, give you that adrenaline rush to get through a match. So for them to go out there and still deliver, more kudos to them, respect to everyone involved, trying to deliver a show for us all at home to entertain. But overall, I was entertained. Some good stuff, some bad stuff. We'll get through all of it as we go. But like I said, overall, I was entertained, and it was just fun to be, at least, even though I was watching it with just my brother, but at least to be able to contact and text other people throughout the night and feel like somewhat of a WrestleMania party via digitally. But yeah, I was overall had a good time.
One of the standout positive moments was the America the Beautiful montage at the beginning. That mashup of all the performances over the years at WrestleMania was really powerful. I really loved that. I thought that set a great tone, and then they slingshotted from that into this sort of nonsensical video package kicking off the show, which I did not care for so much, with a bad Jack Sparrow impersonator. And, they didn't take the time to edit Roman Reigns out of the opening package or The Miz. It's just like, what are we doing here, man?
Yeah. Well, it's who knows? They probably had that made like a month ago or whatever, before the whole world went sideways and was put on hold. But yeah, I'm with you. It's a little tough. I mean, I'm sure it probably cost them a pretty penny to get that graphic, that opening package made with all the special effects and stuff. So they're probably like, screw it. Let's just roll it as is. I think people know what's going on. It's like, this was made a while ago. We don't have the budget because they don't have the ticket sales and all the other stuff that they usually get money from during a WrestleMania week, whatever city that they're in. So I'm sure for them, it's a little bit of a tight budget right now for them. And they're probably like, you know what, let's just keep it as is and roll with it.
Yeah, I guess so. It just, I just didn't like the tone of it either. I think they should have done a total sort of revamp on the tone of the package under the unique circumstances that we're facing here at WrestleMania and in the world abroad. Another positive again, my overall thoughts before I dive into any more is that I applaud the effort and I applaud the dedication and just the desire that they all put on tonight. That's top to bottom, every match, that they wanted to give us some top-tier entertainment and wrestling action and go on with the show. And I appreciate that mentality. And, so just hats off and cheers to all of them for going out there and performing tonight. A positive for me, I always loved JBL being on commentary, so him being teamed with Michael Cole was a great little surprise.
Well, what's up with that? Where's Graves been? I know Graves was doing the pre-show earlier in the night, but he hasn't been on SmackDown the last few weeks. I'm just curious why he hasn't been traveling. Maybe he wants to be at home with his family or something like that. I mean, I don't know if you heard any specific reasons.
I have not, but yeah, I did think that was curious, especially since he was on the pre-show. But The matches proper kicked off with the Kabuki Warriors defending their women's tag team championship against Bliss Cross. And Bliss Cross were victorious. I thought the match was fine. I didn't care for the ending very, very much. It just felt sort of kind of out of nowhere with Nikki taking the beat down. You know, and Alexa had gotten beaten down, and she was like essentially left for dead. And then all of a sudden she pops back up and hits her finish. Didn't really care for that, and I don't really care for the Kabuki Warriors dropping the titles at this point in time. I've liked what they've had going on. To be honest, I'm not a big fan of the Bliss Cross teaming. It serves to highlight the fact that they had a really unique and awesome character in Nikki Cross down in NXT, and they've completely bastardized her since moving her away from NXT. I'm not really a fan of that tag team, even though I'm a fan of each of those performers individually. But, you know, the first match on the main card of WrestleMania 36, Night 1, we get a title change. What did you think?
Well, I was like, that was my thing. I know we didn't do like a prediction video beforehand, before WrestleMania weekend, but I was kind of curious considering the situation with no crowd and stuff. I was curious how many title changes would actually happen this weekend. I know they're trying to get through the event, but I was curious, like, because a title change usually on a WrestleMania stage is a big deal. It's a WrestleMania moment. And you and I have talked, I think, off the air a lot about this. Like, would they save this for maybe SummerSlam instead? So it's like a make good. So maybe all the big, would the coronavirus outbreak right now affect the booking for this WrestleMania? And so I was in the impression, oh, maybe they'll save a lot of the title changes for down the road, though. Maybe extend the storylines and conclude them in SummerSlam weekend instead. So I was kind of shocked that, yeah, there was a title change here with the women's tag titles. I mean, I hate to say it, but I feel like the women's tag team division, or at least the titles themselves, it's kind of dead in just barely a year of their existence. I just feel like they don't get really acknowledged enough or used enough or have dedicated matches either on Raw or SmackDown. It's for Asuka or whoever the respected women's champion at the time over the last year. It more just comes out and it's just like an extra piece of what's the word, accessory for their outfit, like for Asuka, because she's been doing a lot of singles matches the last few weeks. So I feel like she comes out by herself and she has, this tag title around her, but she doesn't actually do any tag matches. So that's why I was like, are they really going to give this any love? And I don't know, how did they revive the women's tag team division? Maybe with Alexa Bliss, Nikki Cross, they can, but you kind of had a built-in tag team as the quote Kabuki Warriors. I mean, they have a tag team name, they have a new theme song. So at least for them, they're actually being booked as a legit tag team and not just two singles wrestlers pushed together. So I mean, maybe they want to get the tag titles with some more love on SmackDown. Maybe they feel like SmackDown would be a better place for that division to thrive, and maybe they'll start reusing some of the women's division down there and maybe build up some actual tag teams and give them some more competition. That's the only reason I could think of, is maybe SmackDown is going to be the new land for the women's tag team division to really thrive. Who knows?
From there, Elias and King Corbin had their matchup, and this is coming on the heels of Elias taking this supposed giant bump off the staging area and taking the flat back bump to the concrete floor. You know, is Elias going to make it to WrestleMania? And then he comes out there, and he's not really selling the back injury at all. I don't know. That just, to me, like, right. And I like Elias a lot. He's one of my, again, I get my steps in by walking with Elias. But
you have his shirt.
I didn't really get why, they were trying to build up this whole, is he even going to make it to the match? And then he was just fine.
Yeah.
I didn't get that.
Well, I know it was. By the way, what'd you think? I know we didn't really talk about it before, but what'd you think of that spot a couple weeks ago at SmackDown when Baron Corbin knocked him off that like balcony area of the Performance Center and just made that weird thud? Like,
it reminded me of Russell Crowe's fall in Les Miserables, which I love that movie, but I didn't need the sound effect necessarily. I wasn't a big fan of the spot. I wasn't a big fan of them not selling the spot. I wasn't really a big fan of this match in general, and that makes me sad because, I'm a huge Elias fan. I've liked what King Corbin's been doing as a heel, but this didn't really work, in my opinion. What do you think?
Well, the thing is, it's like, Okay, you look at 1 year ago, Baron Corbin or King Corbin. A year ago, he retired Kurt Angle, like one of the greatest of all time, and you would think if Kurt Angle is going to give him the rub and put him over and lose to him in his retirement match, you'd think that momentum would carry for a long period of time. And don't get me wrong, I know King Corbin won the King of the Ring last year. And so, okay, hey, that's a sign that it's momentum that's continuing from that WrestleMania win. But you would think a year later, he should get another win at this year's WrestleMania just to prove that he's one of the top heels in the company. But nonetheless, him losing here, it's like, what? It kind of, I feel like, loses all that momentum he's been building up in the last year. So it's a little interesting in that sense. But with Elias, is this a sign that he's finally gonna get a good push now? I know he's had a couple pushes on his time on Raw before, but it's always been kind of a little stop and go with him. And it's like he'll get a little bit of a push and then they'll take him off TV for a while. So I'm curious now, is this a sign that Elias is going to start getting a push now? I would like to see Elias. I'm with you. I'm a fan of Elias and what he can do, but I feel like he's never had like long-term booking plans. And I think he could be really good at top, like mid-card. Well, I guess he's kind of a baby phase now. He's kind of jumped back and forth between heel and baby phase. But I think right now he could be really good mid-card baby phase. So that's the only reason why I see they maybe let him win here, just for that sake of maybe what his place could be with SmackDown moving forward in the near future. But yeah, with Corbin though, I personally was thinking he was going to win, just because you look at his track record. He's got one of the biggest wins ever in WrestleMania history, retiring Kurt Angle, and I thought that would carry over to this year. So I'm really shocked that he lost here. And so with that being said, you would think he should easily get another win at this year's WrestleMania just to prove that he's one of the top heels in the company. But nonetheless, him losing here, it's like, what? It kind of, I feel like, loses all that momentum he's been building up in the last year. So it's a little interesting in that sense. But with Elias, is this a sign that he's finally going to get a good push now? I know he's had a couple pushes on his time on Raw before, but it's always been kind of a little stop and go with him. And it's like he'll get a little bit of a push and then they'll take him off TV for a while. So I'm curious now, is this a sign that Elias is going to start getting a push now? I would like to see Elias. I'm with you. I'm a fan of Elias and what he can do, but I feel like he's never had like long-term booking plans. And I think he could be really good at top, like mid-card. Well, I guess he's kind of a baby phase now. He's kind of jumped back and forth between heel and baby phase. But I think right now he could be really good mid-card baby phase. So that's the only reason why I see they maybe let him win here, just for that sake of maybe what his place could be with SmackDown moving forward in the near future. But yeah, with Corbin though, I personally was thinking he was going to win, just because you look at his track record. He's got one of the biggest wins ever in WrestleMania history, retiring Kurt Angle, and I thought that would carry over to this year. So I'm really shocked that he lost here.
I wasn't shocked by it. Elias sort of needed it more, but I just wish they had a better showing. It didn't really click to me, and that might be virtue that they both sort of need, the live audience to put on their best work, and there's no shame in that. We're in uncharted territory in terms of how to put on a great wrestling match, with literally no fans, not small crowds, no crowds, and there are some certain things that really worked from tonight with that, like the trash talking in the ring. I love that.
Yeah.
I want to see more of that. This silence, it fills that up. I liked what you pointed out with, as we're jumping a little bit ahead, but when the Artist Collective was out there, having more bodies around the ring, just making more noise helps the atmosphere immensely. But the next match was the Raw Women's Championship match. Becky Lynch taking on Shayna Baszler. I like the Bex Express, as I'm calling it. I like her. I like her big rig. I wish I'd like to think in a perfect world she'd have a more spectacular entrance with it at WrestleMania. But I'm digging it.
Well, I was just going to say, do you think if this was going to happen in Tampa Bay, where the Buccaneers play at their football stadium, do you think she would have driven that from outside into the ring? Yeah.
Yes.
See, okay.
That's what I was thinking. That's what I was hoping for. If this were, under normal circumstances. But I like the Bex Express. And I like and I liked this match. I thought they really worked well with one another. I would have liked to have seen them get more time. I felt like it got cut a little short, but it was incredibly hard hitting. They both came off very credible. I think they could have come up with a more creative finish to put over the story that they were telling. I know a lot of people expected Shayna Baszler to win. I am happy that they kept it with Becky Lynch. I do believe that is the right call. I don't think you just want to unmake Becky in this spot and just anoint Shayna, because to be honest with you, it would totally make Shayna to just run roughshod over Becky here and, do the Clubber Lang storyline or whatever you want to do. But I don't know if that's the right call, because I'm not 1,000% sold on Shayna Baszler being the flag bearer for the women's division on Raw right now. So I would have liked to have seen Becky pull off an even more desperate finish. Maybe even, dare I say, cheat to win, or some type of questionable tactic. Not turn her heel, but make her desperate enough to sort of pull off a tactic that maybe, is not just the white meat babyface kind of move. But what did you think of the match?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, first off, I enjoyed just the back and forth, the intensity between the two of them, and just shows just how athletic both of them are. So, but it was kind of awkward just how silent it was at times in the match. But it was kind of cool, and when they did lay into each other, you would hear every thud, every smack. So I was intrigued by that aspect of it. And yeah, going into it, I thought Shayna was going to win just because, okay, Becky has been champion for a full year now with that Raw title specifically. So I was like, okay, maybe they want to change the scenery now and just have someone else kind of be the face of the Raw women's division. And with Shayna, well, let me ask you this, Jimbo. Do you think moving forward, Shayna is going to be on Raw? She's like, quote, getting called up now? Or do you think she should be on Raw full time now?
I think that she is on Raw full time.
Okay.
I think that's definitely just what's in the cards for her right now.
Mm-hmm. Well, so going back to that, it's because that's what I was thinking. It's like, okay, they probably want her on Raw full time. So yeah, give her the title and just kind of start a new thing with her. And that way, Becky, who's been champion for the last year and she's beaten everyone in that division, what's like a new, fresh thing you can do with Becky and have her chase the title again? So you kind of knock her down a la like Rocky 3, who was beating everyone, and then a new up-and-comer takes him out when he was, quote, a little cocky, and Rocky had to go find himself. So I thought it'd be kind of cool if Becky, how you said it was a Becky Balboa last year, like she has to go find herself, a little soul-searching, because she was at the top of the division for so long. She forgot, maybe, it's like just fantasy booking. She had to relearn her passion and drive and go on that chase again to get that title back. And it could have been like a good rematch down the line between the two of them. So, like I said, I was very shocked that Becky won here because I really thought Shayna was going to win. But also the finish, wasn't that finish? Is that how, was it?
Kairi Sane did something.
Or Kairi
something similar in NXT. It's the Bret Hart, Roddy Piper finish. They've done it.
Yeah.
Numerous times, in wrestling and stuff like that. So it wasn't a new finish, but I get what they were trying to do. But again, I would have liked to have them go to that, it not work, and then her have to get even more desperate with some type of maybe distraction or hold the ropes or whatever, just to put over more that Becky Lynch was sort of overconfident but still managed to escape.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's going to be, here we are, the start of Becky's second year now as the Raw Women's Champion. So it's going to be exciting. Who knows the future of WWE? There's a lot of people trying to figure out or speculate what's next for WWE.
I'm really hoping that, especially with the booking call they made here tonight, that it's indicative that Ronda Rousey is coming back. And if you want Becky to chase, then I think her chasing Ronda again still has a lot more mileage and a lot more box office draw than Becky chasing Shayna. I'm just not fully sold on Shayna Baszler. She's not a great promo. She's not this name drawing superstar like Ronda Rousey. And if you want to put over somebody's cage fighting expertise, I like in the lead up to this whole thing, just across the board, I was reminded of how good Ronda Rousey was, how much I miss Ronda Rousey being involved in WWE and how much I think a lot of the fan base took her for granted.
Absolutely.
And I think if they can get her back involved again, it's going to be a real shot in the arm for the WWE.
Well, I think Ronda is probably coming back, if I had to guess, because the reason that, quote, she was leaving the first time around or last year was she wanted to start a family, and nothing has happened since then. So, I mean, I'm not up in their personal life, don't know what's going on, but it was believed that she was taking time away. She did her first full year with WWE, and she's going to take time off and start a family, but nothing has happened since then. It's been a year since then, and she hasn't got pregnant or anything. So I don't know. Maybe she had a change of heart, what she wants to do with her life. I know she was injured after last year's WrestleMania, and I'm sure she's all healed up now, but maybe she's had some time away from the ring and now misses it. And like you, I think that first full year with Ronda Rousey shows, one, how fast and how natural of a wrestler she was and how fast she picked it up, a la like Kurt Angle did. So, and I think you're right. We did take it for granted of her time in the ring and what she brought to the table. And I think she really helped elevate that whole women's division for the better. And
Ronda Rousey, in my estimation, elevated every division, not just the women's division. She put so many more eyeballs on the product. She made it feel legit. So I'm hoping that she comes back real soon. The next match was the Intercontinental Championship match. Sami Zayn, the champion, with his Artist Collective, which is growing on me by the day, taking on Daniel Bryan. I'll admit that Sami Zayn as a heel, to me, doesn't seem like a natural sort of fit. But he's really worked at it, and he's become a very hateable heel.
Smug?
And,
is that a good word?
Yeah, very smug.
Yeah.
And like the Artist Collective thing being in the Bay Area really works for me. It's this like little hipster geek squad that is just so like holier than thou, and you know, like you probably wouldn't get it kind of deal, or I liked this band before it was cool, or like I live in Berkeley and like I'm smarter than you kind of deal, and like I'm so avant-garde. Like it totally works for me. And you know, right down to the sort of Che Guevara worshiping look that Sami Zayn is rocking. So he's really made that work for him. So I appreciate that, and I also really enjoyed this match. And this is another one that I wish would have got more time. We talked about how it was really working because of the trash talking and all the noise that the Artist Collective was making and everything like that. This was a good hard hitting match. Sami Zayn took an ass whooping and then got sort of a fluky victory with Daniel Bryan kind of like acting like a dumb babyface, which I could have done without. But what'd you think?
Yeah, I was like, to me personally, this was like low key. I thought it was going to be match of the night, just considering Sami Zayn's background, especially his roots with the independent scene. Of course, Daniel Bryan, he's one of the greatest wrestlers as well. So like, I was like, oh my God, we're going to get this really cool matchup. Unfortunately, as we know with the WrestleMania stage, there's so many matches that they have booked. A lot of these matches don't get enough proper time to really put the work in for a really over-the-top great wrestling match, 5-star type match. But nonetheless, it was just a shade under 10 minutes. So I think they did the best they can in that circumstance. Sami Zayn, his hair, I think that's how my hair is going to look after this whole shelter in place gets over with. Like, I already need a haircut, and we have to keep doing shelter in place for another month. So I'm going to be like a wild man by the time May rolls around. But no, for the match itself, I as you acknowledged earlier, when we were texting earlier this night about it, I enjoyed having Cesaro, Shinsuke Nakamura, also Drew Gulak, the commentators, the ref, it just even like the camera crew. It felt a little more lively, this match specifically, having that many bodies out there, that many different voices barking throughout the match. So it just, I think, kind of amped up WrestleMania night one, especially because it was like the halfway point of this particular show. So having everyone out there, I think, kind of got the blood rolling again. It's like, all right, like all the little S talking between everyone. And there was definitely a lot of hard hitting, and but I still enjoy it. But yeah, I was kind of hoping Daniel Bryan was going to win to give him another IC run, just because I think the last one he won was it WrestleMania 31, and he had to give it up right after. So yeah, so I thought it'd be kind of cool to see him get the IC title again and see what he could do with it. And maybe down the road, maybe him and Drew Gulak have some sort of falling out, and then Drew Gulak can challenge him, and he could be a champion down the road himself. But for Sami Zayn,
nice
it's like,
way
okay,
to build him,
yeah, I was like, okay, for Sami Zayn, okay, cool. He's got a big win over Daniel Bryan now, and hopefully maybe he'll get a good lengthy run with the title himself. I know this is his first title on the main roster, but yeah, overall, it was still a great match. The placement of this match on the card, I think, was a good spot, like I said, just to kind of get everyone woken up again if they were kind of maybe dragging a little bit.
Yeah, I think the story of the last two matches, the Becky and Shayna match and the Daniel Bryan and Sami Zayn match, is that they just didn't get enough time. They both were very solid, hard-hitting, legit, just tough, strong style, for lack of a better term, type matches that I was really enjoying. But they both kind of ended a little bit too soon for my liking. The next match was the SmackDown Tag Team Title ladder match. And this morphed into just a triple threat match between John Morrison, Kofi Kingston, and Jimmy Uso, all vying for the tag team titles because Miz could not compete, so therefore they cut out everybody's tag team partners. And my thinking on that is nuts to that, man. Like, just have put Morrison, even though he's the heel, I know it's sort of the babyface role, but have him be handicapped in this. And if you really want to rebuild the tag team division, then you have your new champs. This would have been great to have John Morrison on the wrong end of the handicap stip here. So it's still a triple threat tag team ladder match. John Morrison just doesn't have a partner, and he still wins. Have him still win. That way, it's somehow the dastardly heel still managing to escape with the titles. And this was a great match, and the effort here was off the page. But that way, when Miz and Morrison eventually split and feud, as I assume they will, you have Morrison, whichever direction of the spectrum he falls on, with this great sort of, hey, when you weren't there, I single-handedly defended our tag team championships because you couldn't go. So that's what I would have done with this. I think the sort of turning this into a triple threat match because of circumstance was not the best sort of workaround. But they made it work into a hell of a match. I really liked it, and I think I liked the creative fashion of the finish. It came off a little awkward, I think, because of the lack of sort of like the title bell. That's one of the things we take for granted in wrestling is we're so cued by that damn title bell, and it's usually so on point, ringing to know like who won and that's it. And we didn't really get that here. But what did you think of this match?
Yeah, this is one of the matches I'm specifically referring to as far as these guys going out there and laying their bodies all over the place, bodies on the line for no crowd, even though they know really this is for performance for everyone at home watching around the world. But amazing match as far as just the bumps that they were taking. We all know about the long history and the great chemistry between the New Day and the Usos. And then Morrison, God, come on. I mean, friend of the show, but also we know about his amazing athleticism and all the flippy stuff he could do, and just the tightrope walk he did towards the end of the match. I mean, just it was a athletic wet dream in this match as far as what John Morrison, Kofi, and Jimmy Uso delivered as far as just all the big high spots that they were able to dive and jump all over the place. And so it was very entertaining, and it was still very interesting to watch as far as in the performance center. And we're so used to a lot of these high spots getting these huge crowd reactions, and you just hear these big thuds, and like there's no like, oh, other than the commentators, but there's no one like crowd reaction like, oh, ouch, ow, that hurt. So for them, I enjoyed it. I thought it was an interesting finish because I was like, at first when all three brought the handle down with the titles on it, I was like, I don't think I've ever seen this before in my recollection or my thoughts of everyone involved brings the title down at the same time. But I thought it was an interesting finish of Morrison falling back with both titles, and then quote, it almost came like a steel cage match rules, like he hit the ground first with the title, so he technically is the winner that way. I mean, I thought it was a little bit interesting in that sense.
Yeah, I thought it was a creative finish. I think they could have maybe tried to shoot it a little bit better, knowing it was coming, having them all sort of wrestling for the titles and Miz, falling. It was a hell of a bump that he took right there at the end to get them. But I liked it. And again, the effort and the risk that they were taking was there. It was a really, really good ladder match. And it took me to another match that I thoroughly enjoyed as well. And the build to this is another one of those builds that I feel badly that it has to happen again under these unique circumstances that of no crowd. Kevin Owens versus Seth Rollins, terrific build, terrific A+ video package leading into this. The Monday Night Messiah stuff with the stained glass and just how they put this together. That character is over, and that moniker's hopefully going to stick with him for a while because it's going to work, and it is a very good sort of heel resurrection for Seth Rollins here. And this feud was working well. I thought they delivered in a big way in this match and gave Kevin Owens a hell of a WrestleMania moment. God, when them leaping off the staging and finally triumphing. He did win via DQ in the first fall, but they did the whole match restart and made it no DQ. Curious as to why Seth's disciples weren't there to help him, which would have been sort of another way to go here. But it was, to be honest, I was pulling for Seth just to give him a big win as this new Messiah character. But it does build KO as maybe a future challenger to somebody like a Brock Lesnar or something like that, or whoever it comes out as champion after WrestleMania. But I really, really enjoyed this story and everything with this. I just wish Kevin Owens didn't do the stunner. I know it's weird and nitpicky, but it's just do the pop-up powerbomb, man. It's your move.
He did do it at one point.
Yeah, I know, but now it's just a false finish.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I when I saw the power pop, I was like, oh my God, he did it. And I thought that, maybe that's the end right there. And no, it was. And yeah, I'm with you. It's like, that's a transitional move now or a false finish move. Like, no, I don't want that. Like, I told you this before a long time ago. One of my favorite moves in wrestling has always been the power bomb. As a kid, I love the power bomb. And I know now it looks very simple compared to like a lot of these other moves all these guys and gals can pull off now. But growing up, to me, the powerbomb was such a devastating move when you can just slam someone into the mat. It's like, that's a badass move. And so when he did it tonight, I was like, yeah, he's bringing it back out into his arsenal. But yeah, that oh my God moment when he jumped off the WrestleMania sign onto the table and Seth Rollins, I love that. And I mean, hopefully that's a video highlight that they can use for years to come from night one of this WrestleMania. But I was going to ask you, so what do you think of Seth's outfit tonight, the all-white outfit?
We were texting about this a little bit, and I think that outfit works perfectly well if he wins this match tonight and comes out as the dickish heel that he is, and he's great at that. He's, I saw somebody say that he is maybe as close as anyone's getting to that 97 level of Shawn Michaels prick heel, and he's getting up there. He's not, but that's the kind of thing he can wear after a victory and just come off as this messianic figure that would be playing to a crowd and sort of like a guru type thing. It doesn't really work for him in terms of being intimidating coming into a match, though, in my opinion. Okay. And so I would have gone with something else. Some of his big match attires have come off a little goofy on him, like the SummerSlam, aka like Saturday Night Fever outfit that he wore. I was just wasn't it for me.
I was just gonna say real quick, as far as where the other guys were. So one of the guys at AOP has a torn bicep and is gonna be out for a while. So AOP who just came back from an injury. So, but AOP, I guess when one gets hurt, they got to take them both off. And then Buddy Murphy, I think, wasn't there something like a quarantine type issue or sick thing? I forgot. I don't know off the top of my head. But so just to kind of explain why Seth was by himself tonight.
Well, say that on commentary.
Yeah, no, they should have said something.
That's another thing why, like this like whole not wanting to call stuff out by name, like say that on the air so that we know and that it's just like kind of out there.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
But it was a great match. They did really well, and it gives Kevin Owens a big-time WrestleMania moment. So that was great, and we'll see if the feud continues from here or if they're both going to move on to other things. But I really liked what both brought.
Well, it probably will continue because Seth can easily come back on Raw and be like, listen, I beat you the first time.
No, he didn't.
If it wasn't...
Huh? He didn't, though. He lost twice, essentially.
Oh, yeah. Okay. But I mean, just the fact that there was multiple matches, he's like, I can beat you. You know, he can like play into it somehow.
Yeah, for sure. We sort of blew past it. We didn't reference Rob Gronkowski being the host. He was not nearly as present in this as I thought that he might be.
Yeah.
But I think he maybe would have been more so had there been actual fans. But he did a little introduction thing. He's like, a lot of people know me as Rob Gronkowski, 3-time Super Bowl champion, but here in WWE I'm known as Gronk, which I expected him to just be Gronk moving forward. And I'm fine with that. But him and Mojo, R-Truth showed up with the 24/7 title, or as I'm calling it, the social distance championship, because that's really what it should be. If you stay away from everyone, you stay champion. And you beat coronavirus, and you stay champion. So that's really what it should be. But so Mojo Rawley stopped Gronk from winning and became 24/7 champion. Overall, just thoughts on Gronk and Mojo hosting.
I was really surprised at how minimum he was present on this show with the opening segment, and then with the Daniel Bryan's match, him and Mojo, yes, and then the R-Truth segment. So what, 3 specific segments that night? I was kind of hoping to see more of him. Maybe there's more tomorrow night too. So that's yet to be seen. I'm kind of curious if they'll change his outfit for maintaining the illusion that's 2 separate nights, even though it was filmed last week. So I'm curious what he's going to wear tomorrow night, what kind of flashy outfit. But I thought it was kind of cool having Mojo there to maybe as a support system for
help
for
him
Gronk.
in case there's any rough spots. For sure. I mean, it wasn't live, so I guess they didn't really need him, but I get it.
But I thought it felt a little stiff to me. Like maybe if he does some more work with WWE over the coming months and future, he can kind of loosen up a little bit more.
He got dropped into a bad situation. He's got no crowd to play off of, which is he's a party animal, and he's got no party goers. So I feel bad for Gronk in this situation, but I think he's gonna do some cool things in WWE. The Universal title match, Goldberg defending against the greatly built-up Braun Strowman, the monster among men. I mean, who didn't want to see this match with all the segments they did about it? It's not like they just announced it out of thin air. Oh wait, that's exactly what they did. We got Goldberg's full entrance and everything like that. And like I said on a previous episode, Goldberg's another one who's his whole deal, such a big part of it's the presentation. And it's just not the same with no fans chanting Goldberg and everything like that. He looks great. He's box office and everything like that. And I think what happened tonight, and look, Braun Strowman is one of my favorite wrestlers going right now. And I've been an advocate for him for a long time that he should be a champion and the standard bearer for WWE. He's got all the things that they usually look for. But with no build and everything like that, I thought this was going to go one of two. It could go 2 ways. Either he just gets fed to Goldberg and they keep it on him until he can drop it to Roman Reigns, or Goldberg was only signed on through WrestleMania and they don't want to pony up and pay him to stay on post WrestleMania as champion, and he was just going to drop it to Braun Strowman and it'd be kind of a whatever WrestleMania moment. And they went with that one. I'm happy for Braun Strowman. It's awesome that he's a world champion finally, but I can't help but feel underwhelmed that it happened in this scenario. He was the second choice for the match. It just doesn't feel like him being anointed the guy as much as like we're just going to try and make the best of a bad situation.
Yeah.
What did you think?
Well,
and also the match was just bad.
I was sexy during that match. It was just big power spot after big power spot, spear, and then the over the top, the body slams, and I was like, yeah, just give me the big 2 big monsters throwing each other around for 5 minutes. I was like, oh, okay, I'll take that. And I mean, come on, at this point, that's all we can get from Goldberg in the ring, and it is perfectly for Braun what he can do. But I'm with you. I kind of feel bad for Braun. He gets thrown in this match. He wins the title, so it's his first big, winning the biggest title that he can get on the SmackDown brand, the Universal title. Obviously, it's not from any fans. But I mean, on a quick side note, he's been having a pretty good last couple months. I mean, he won the IC title and now the Universal title in in 2020, despite the rest of the world, having an okay year with the whole coronavirus stuff, Braun 2020 has been a great year for him. But I'm with you though, as far as the match itself was okay. And I do believe, maybe they didn't want to pay Goldberg more money to stick around through SummerSlam or wherever, keeping him on as Universal Champion. And you got to look at on a more realistic side of things from a business standpoint. WrestleMania is a big moneymaker for WWE, and they didn't have it this year in the big stadium. So they didn't get all the ticket sales and maybe increase network subscriptions and all the merch and all the other.
I think they probably increased network subscriptions.
Oh yeah, networks. But you know what I mean, as far as the ticket sales and all the other.
They didn't get the gate.
Hall of Fame. All that stuff.
I totally get what you're saying. I do think they have the money to pony up for Bill Goldberg, but I think that they knew that it's, if he's not the guy going forward, I get it. I just hope that as they make this pivot, that they actually give Braun a shot as being the guy, and they don't just look at him as the guy to get it to Roman Reigns. That's what I'm hoping for, because Braun Strowman is super charismatic. He's over. He doesn't have the same shine that he did 2 years ago or what have you, but I think you can get it back. And I know he's got himself in a little bit of hot water with what he said about indie wrestlers and their GoFundMes and stuff. Y'all need to get over that. It wasn't the best, thing to say, but I think people are taking it a little over the top with him. But Braun's a good egg, and I'm hoping that they give him a legit run with this, especially, let him run with it once the fans come back and see what we can do with it.
Well, maybe, okay. It sounds like the plan, no matter what, was Goldberg win and Roman win here. And it's like, okay, well, let's keep that same plan or strategy for WrestleMania, but insert Braun Strowman. So no matter what, whoever Goldberg was going to face was going to win the title.
Well, that's what I'm saying, but I hope that with that, it's not just a stopgap to put it on Braun to get it onto Roman.
Oh yeah, well that's why I'm worried as well. It's like he's going to be maybe a paper champion, and that Roman is still going to be the one to eventually take it off him and be champion. The plan is still to get Roman the title.
And that's what I'm hoping not.
Well, no. But what I'm saying, the only bright side is they do have a good chemistry together. You got to look at their rivalry a couple of years ago.
They absolutely
Braun
do.
and Roman, they do deliver good matches with each other. So maybe that's the one silver lining in all of this, is that they're going to deliver some big matches, hopefully maybe this summer when things get back to normal.
I just hope they make the right call and to let Braun have a nice, solid run with it. Reform him. I think he could be a big time draw for WWE. But we got to talk about the main event of night one of WrestleMania 36. It was the Boneyard match between Undertaker and AJ Styles. I know this is got a lot of people talking on social media, and I know I am going to be in the vast minority on this from what I've seen of reactions to this match. But I did not like this match in the least. I didn't like the build-up to this match. I haven't liked any of this right from the start of the Saudi show when it started building. I haven't liked any of it. It hasn't felt befitting of WrestleMania. I am loath at the usage of the real names as somehow sort of being edgy and everything like that. But getting to the Boneyard match itself, the AJ Styles intro, I am fine with that. I thought that was kind of funny and expected. When I saw the two druids, I was like, okay, that's probably the OC. And I was like, because they're not going to have Undertaker come out first for the Boneyard match, so that's probably AJ Styles. And I thought that worked. However, I started legit busting up laughing when they hit the Metallica song, now that we're dead, which is something that Undertaker has never come out to before. And up until this point, he's still been relatively the dead man. I know they've tried to sort of shift his look in recent weeks a little bit, but he's still been dead man Undertaker, but now he's supposed to be sort of like this fusion of the American Badass and the dead man Undertaker. I thought it came off so bad. I feel bad for Metallica because it was what a great band to be just sort of like just hatcheted by this segment. And again, I know a lot of people loved it, and I love Lucha Underground and how they did cinematic stuff in wrestling, and it worked for them. It worked within their world. how they presented it, and they presented it darkly. Yes, there were some cheesy moments, but the early seasons of Lucha Underground, the stuff that they did, yeah, they embraced that sort of supernatural aspect, the Mortal Kombat aspect of what they were doing, and they did it so consistently that it didn't feel so out of place. This is so jarring and also not as well done as Lucha Underground, in my opinion, that it just came off really bad. Right, again, I am literally laughing to myself. I'll give them credit. It entertained the piss out of me because it was so bad. It was so bad at so many points during this match. The Druids showing up out of nowhere and for some reason not supporting The Undertaker. Like,
right?
The fact that he, like, straight up tried to murder a member of the OC with that shovel before AJ Styles attacked him. Damn it, you made me break my hand. Like, all this stuff, like Michelle McCool has never gotten so much shine in her entire career. The fact that the whole build's been based around that too is ridiculous. What happened to Sarah? You know, I mean, good Lord.
She's covered up now.
I know, but I thought this was, again, very entertaining to watch, and it's fun to laugh about. But all these reactions that somehow it's like this great match and this triumph and everything like that, absolutely not. No.
I was just going to say, I enjoyed the cinematic look of it as far as it was outside of the Performance Center, and it felt like a movie and with the soundtrack of...
Yeah, why was there no laugh track when they had music, though? They should have had a sweet laugh track going for all the stupid crap that they did in this.
So, I'm just saying...
Had Kramer, like, slide out of one of the barn doors like, hey, buddy. Good Lord. I do want to give with them trying this and with them doing this, I do think that Matt Hardy deserves a tip of the hat with what he did in TNA. I'm not talking about
Ultimate Deletion.
Everything that he did with the broken Matt Hardy character in TNA and everything like that. Again, it worked in that world because it was it was a sinking ship, and they just let Matt do what he wanted and everything like that. It was also. It's Matt, and the way he was presenting it was in this very sort of tongue-in-cheek way, and, the stuff that he was claiming, especially in the early on stuff, he couldn't actually do. He wasn't like it came off so much better. Like, I think, to me, it made me appreciate Matt's creative mind for how to do this stuff more, and I think had he not done that stuff, WWE would not have had this rubric necessarily to work off of. A tip of the hat to Lucha Underground for the same reasons, because they tried to borrow very heavily from that. I am curious as to whether Chris DeJoseph was heavily involved in putting this on. I do not know.
Okay.
But I do think that those two entities deserve a lot of credit for the thinking outside the box, which can work. And I'm trying to not be hypocritical when I praise Lucha Underground, especially for those segments. But if you haven't watched, go back and watch. Go watch the segments with Mil Muertes and Katrina. And yes, it's supernatural and stuff like that, but it's dark. It doesn't really come off very cheesy, in my opinion. It comes off more like a horror film. This comes off like a B horror film,
That's
like
a friend
a
of
comedy
mine
horror
said,
film.
Well, yeah, a friend of mine texted me earlier. Says, "Yeah, this felt like a really bad B level movie." So,
I'm glad there's somebody else out there that didn't like it, because most people loved it.
Yeah, no, like for me, I felt it entertaining. I enjoyed it for what it was, and I was like, wow, like they're doing it now, but they didn't do it when Matt Hardy was still with the company. And because, like you, I remember all the stuff he did in TNA, and then the stuff that you showed me from Lucha Underground. I'm like, other people have done this. Why didn't they have done more of this in WWE, especially when you had the guy who was like the king of it? Well, now I'm sure AEW is going to do a lot of that now moving forward.
They have their own, I thought the teleportation stuff was terrible. They have their own issues. It doesn't always work, and it is a tight wire rope that you have to walk. And I thought especially the early going of this was just so cringe. I didn't think Undertaker's vamping was very good. It just was so fake tough guy stuff. I think your brother tweeted out that he felt like he was watching the fight scene in Roadhouse, or maybe he just texted me that. I love that take. But the thing about it is, the great thing about wrestling is that they're not stuntmen. they're improvising on the fly, like they're flying without a net, and so they're working to make it look real. It just was. This just was not it for me. I thought this was so embarrassingly cringe. I just hated it.
Well, Tommy and I, we were talking. Tommy's like, this feels like Roadhouse. I'm like, yeah, it does. Like the big fight at the end with Patrick Swayze and the bad guy.
Yeah.
It felt like, because they were on the lake and the barn and stuff. It's like, this feels like Roadhouse. But the other thing too was, remember, last Raw, Undertaker said with the Holy Trinity or whatever. Well, that never actually happened, right? I mean, there was no quote Holy Trinity, like he said it again in the match, but we didn't see anything of it. Like I thought, was it going to be Kane? Was it going to be
maybe the Holy
Sting?
Trinity is that he's fused into this amalgam of the American Badass and the Dead Man, so he can look like the American Badass but still do the supernatural stuff. Like another one of like the really bad moments. He's in the grave, and then they hit the dramatic music, and he appears behind AJ Styles. Like awful, just awful. I do not understand the love for this match. And, like, people are saying, oh, it's the best outside the arena thing people have done. It's not even the best outside the arena thing they've done at WrestleMania. The Hollywood Backlot Brawl is light years ahead of this, in my opinion.
That was awesome. I still love that match.
Yes, absolutely. That was way better than this. And actually, like, they had this was just crap to me.
But I did enjoy that they wore like street clothes. They didn't wear like their wrestling gear outdoors. I thought that was kind of cool. Like, okay, hey, this is like a legit street fight. They're both fighting for each other's pride and wives and all that stuff. But when all those guys, was it True Ads you said coming out, I was like, wait, okay, these are like supernatural type characters, whatever. Yeah, when they align themselves with the Undertaker, and all of a sudden he's like, all right, bring it. And he starts like beating them all up.
So bad. It's like a bad Steven Seagal movie.
Yeah, it's like
or like Chuck Norris, just Walker, Texas Ranger.
It's like, it seemed like an action movie that you would see late at night on TBS or TNT back in the 90s. Like, I was like, what is this? But, and then, but yeah, AJ, I enjoyed like what he brought to the table as far as, mocking Undertaker when he came out, the hers and like the broken hand thing. I started laughing. He's like, you broke my hand. Like, it sounds like something a bad guy would say in those cheesy action movies, like on Cinemax back in the day. Oh. But what was I gonna say before I lose my train of thought was the Warrior street clothes. Oh, but this type of match, which the only positive I see of this as far as being outdoors at a barn, whatever, or boneyard, excuse me,
graveyard.
Wait, but at least for Undertaker at his age, this kind of covers up what he can't do in the ring anymore. So it's more of a street fight outdoors in the graveyard or boneyard, whatever you want to call it. But
I think it would have worked better for me if he was the Dead Man, though. Make it more scary and less sort of bikery. Have him show up in his own hearse. Do the Dead Man stuff. Make it more like an actual horror film as opposed to the weird amalgam stuff. Because like him vamping as like American Badass Undertaker at the start, like them using like the Michelle McCool stuff was just the wrong tactic to take from top to bottom. But if he's this supernatural character and it's like terrifying, then it makes much more sense than him doing like this American Badass deal to me. That I guess snapped me out of it right from the get-go, right from the Metallica music starting and him riding in. It was just like it was like that freaking DC the Justice League fighting game that they did. It's just with their people's entrances and stuff. It was just wow.
But you get what I'm saying, though, as far as at least this match, it was more just a street fight in the dirt. So at least like Undertaker, he could just focus on just throwing these big punches and kicks and not so much trying to go out there and do, some of his old moves, the high flying stuff, walking across the ropes. So at least this match, you're getting the Undertaker presence on a WrestleMania card, but you're not putting him through. He doesn't have to deliver or worry about delivering some of those spots that he's known for because he maybe can't or do it as well at his older age.
I wanted to see an old school on like a barnyard fence with him walking along a picket fence.
Or
and he like old school's AJ down into like some cow manure or something like that, and he can do the Biff Tannen, I hate manure. Oh my God.
But I'm with you. Yeah. All that stuff. It's I was just gonna say, I mean, do you think, like, okay, the end of the match?
I got the AJ's hand popping up out of the grave too looked so incredibly fake and so bad, like just so like F troop level bad. It's the worst hand on WWE television since Mae Young gave birth to one. Like just awful stuff.
Was that supposed to be like the dirt's coming? He's like, wait, no.
Like that. Yeah, it also doesn't even make any sense because if you wanted to do that, like honestly, if AJ had won this and buried him, then you could have plausible reason for Undertaker to really recommit to the dead man character and like come back from the dead and get his revenge on AJ Styles kind of deal. Undertaker's hand coming out of the dirt at the end makes total sense to me.
Yeah.
I mean, but AJ Styles sort of doing it like the movie villain coming back. AJ Styles isn't really positioned that way as this sort of character. I get what they were trying to do, and again, I applaud the effort, and everybody out there, with a few exceptions, is just falling all over themselves to talk about what a great match and what a home run this is.
Well, at least, hey, I think they said Undertaker is now main evented 4 decades now of WrestleMania. They're giving him that title now.
I don't consider. I mean, this is night one.
Yeah, well, then they also said AJ Styles. Oh, look, he's finally main eventing a WrestleMania, technically, or at least a night one.
I will say this: this one definitely will be remembered.
I mean, this would be a great video to watch over and over. Late night.
You know what? And I am going to watch it again to see if maybe one, I watched it with a little bit of bias. Which can happen, but I'm not perfect. I am not perfect, and every time WrestleMania season rolls around, and Undertaker gets his dead ass off the couch and comes to WrestleMania, I get a little bitter.
Okay,
because of the Shawn Michaels stuff and just all these things, and like I was never a fan of the streak, and just for a multitude of reasons, and I think that. He's sort of plumb outlived his time, and is so to speak, kind of deal. I'm going to rewatch it and see if maybe I judged it a little too harshly.
Have you checked in with your friend who's a huge Undertaker fan?
Yeah, he loved it.
Oh, of course.
He loves everything. Like, yeah, he loves everything. But
okay, well, and then the other thing I was going to say, do you think this match is a symbolism of AJ getting buried? Or
no.
Or okay. Let me ask you this, because I thought at least Undertaker at the end when he was talking to AJ, he's like, "Hey, I'm paraphrasing, but he acknowledged like, hey, you stood your ground, good hot, good fight."
He was just dangling at him. He was just trying to sucker him in just to screw with him. I don't think that was sincere.
Now, moving forward, just for fantasy booking's sake, do you think AJ should stay off TV for a while now, and maybe this is an opportunity to get a little bit of a repackage in his own way? I mean, like moving forward because of this match, what do you do with the Undertaker, and what do you do with AJ Styles after this match? That's kind of like why I was thinking what to do now.
Well, I think Undertaker should get his own sort of supernatural crime fighting show on the USA Network. That's what you do with him. Honestly. Pitch that to USA, and that's what you do with Taker every week. And he can show up and make some special appearances, but you get him off of matches and burying younger talent, and have him on have him on the USA Network. Let's revamp Pacific Blue while we're at it, and La Femme Nikita.
I love Pacific Blue. Yeah.
But yeah, just get him off TV. Get him off Raw and SmackDown, which he rarely appears at anyway, and get him onto his own TV show. With AJ Styles, he doesn't need a repackage. However, man, the club came off so piss poor. I know Undertaker straight up tried to murder at least one of them, but I don't think the club has been a very successful experiment. As a group, especially with this, but they've come off like complete jokes and complete goofballs. I know they won their world's greatest tag team deal, and they've won the tag titles since being formed as the OC. But it just doesn't feel like it really caught on. And honestly, one of my things that I will continue to advocate for, I see Luke Gallows as a single star. I just
really,
he's got terrific size. He's good on the mic. He's funny. He's got timing. He's like, I love the presentation of him with the face paint. I would just love to see him try and strike out on his own and see what's there finally. I like Luke Gallows, so I honestly would love to see them try and do something with him beyond just being in the tag ranks. I don't know if that's ever going to be on their radar, but or if it's even something that he wants necessarily. But it's something that I would like to see. But I don't know what you do with AJ Styles. And it would be true comedic fashion going along with his Boneyard match that they just move on from it and act like it never happened and that he's just fine.
Now, why? I'm curious why they just call it a buried alive match. I mean, that's ultimately what it was. It was a buried alive match that Undertaker used to do in the 90s. So I don't know why they couldn't use that term in today's world, 2020. I mean, unless that was not PC or something, or not kid friendly enough.
Yeah, it could be. Maybe they just wanted to call it something different because it was going to be outside the arena and everything like that. I don't mind the Boneyard match name necessarily. What I do mind about it is that AJ Styles took to social media and interviews being like, yeah, I don't really know what the rules are going to be kind of deal. It's like, don't have this mysterious nature about what the match is when you're the one that picked it. So that I don't know. I'm fine with making with have another one. Why not? But it just to me. Oh, and then Undertaker riding away and the Metallica hitting again and so bad. Somebody said on Twitter that it should have been like Breakfast Club with
Don't you think about me?
Don't you forget about me? Yeah.
Yeah.
That would have been better. And I guess maybe they couldn't get the rights to it, but I think I would have been much more warm about it if he had come out to American Badass or Rollin'.
Well, that's the thing. It's like they had Metallica, they had AC/DC.
Yeah.
Tonight. So I was like, wow, they spent some money on the music licensing.
But why couldn't we isn't Kid Rock a WWE Hall of Famer?
Yeah.
Why couldn't we get American Badass? So you couldn't call Kid Rock up and be like, hey man, let's party like it's 2001 again, and we want Undertaker to come out to American Badass. I might have popped for that. But instead, I'm just laughing, full belly laugh as Undertaker's coming out.
Well, it's actually funny. If you go to Metallica's music video for Now That We're Dead, the comments, the video came out about almost 3.5 years ago. But if you go to the comments, all the comments are 3.5 years ago, 4 years ago. And then people the newer comments in the last hour, I'm coming here after that WrestleMania match with
Boneyard.
Yeah. So this Metallica video is getting a bunch of new hits right now. So hey, maybe Metallica's gonna get a boost in iTunes sales or streaming sales.
They certainly deserve it after having their music subjected to that spectacle. But again, a lot of people loved it. And you know what? I'm glad, and I'm legitimately glad that you enjoyed it. I thought it was the dirt bleeping worst. I honestly thought that it was certainly more entertaining than the WrestleMania 20 match between Goldberg and Brock Lesnar. But I think it sits right atop it for worst WrestleMania match.
Well, here's my thing, Jimbo, and it's and I haven't had a chance to tell you this, but earlier in the day and even yesterday, I'm on Twitter and Instagram, and I see a lot of, listen, wrestling fans are very vocal about their opinions because everyone with a social media account feels like their opinion matters and they're voicing. I've been seeing a lot of negative stuff in the last 24 hours, people saying, oh, I'm not going to watch this WrestleMania, or it's going to suck, or it's not the same. Of course it's not the same. You and I have talked about this. We're going through a worldwide pandemic with the coronavirus. The whole entire world is shut down right now. A lot of people are getting sick. A lot of people are dying. A lot of people are losing jobs, all that stuff. It's a really tough time. So you got to give credit to WWE that they're at least trying to deliver an entertaining show just to kind of help us get our mind off things. And my mind was off things for the last 4 or 5 hours, even now 6, talking to you. So it's I appreciate that. That WWE, they gave me some normalcy right now, and I was able just to kind of enjoy myself with my brother, my dad, for today, for this weekend. And so that's why I'm so just I'm so annoyed with all these negative comments about people not going to watch it or don't care about this WrestleMania. Come on, it's a one-time thing. Of course, we all want it to be different and wish it would happen in Tampa Bay at the Buccaneer Stadium. So that's why at least this match, I try to just stay positive and find entertainment value in this. even though
certainly
I kind of
had that. That's for sure.
Yeah, exactly. So that's my thing. It's like, was it perfect? No, but like I was trying to find the entertainment value in this, and you know, people need to relax. I know it's a tough time right now. Stay positive, stay smiling, and just enjoy this for what it is. And tomorrow,
What
I'm
it
excited
was
for
trash. The main event was trash, baby. It was trash. Oh my God! I know your sentiment is in the right place, and I agree. Like I said, I'm glad that people enjoyed it. It was not my cup of tea. And if you like this kind of thing, do yourselves a favor and watch it when it's actually well executed. Watch the first few seasons of Lucha Underground, and then you'll piss on this Boneyard match. But real quick before we go, and we are going to review night 2, obviously, but I do have to give a very special shout out to my favorite listener of In The Kliq. She is a very loyal supporter of the show and myself, and that is my sweet, beautiful mother, Rebecca. It is her birthday tonight.
Yeah,
and so happy birthday, Mom. She has supported my love of pro wrestling from the get-go, and she herself also a Shawn Michaels fan, though probably a little bit different than me because, she thinks he's very handsome, which he is. But, she's been listening to all of our episodes and always texts and calls me about it, and she really loves what we're doing, and I love her very much, and I wish I could be with her for her birthday tonight, but because of everything going on, I'm not able to, but I wanted to make sure that I gave her some love by name here and just say happy birthday, Mom, and I'm thinking about you, I miss you. And we'll celebrate soon. Maybe we'll watch this stupid Boneyard match when this pandemic's over, and you can have a good laugh.
Happy birthday! I remember now because it was this time last year when you called her. I was in the room.
Yes, that's right. So that is going to do it for this episode of In The Kliq, this night 1 of WrestleMania 36. We will be back reviewing night 2. For Baby Huey, I'm Bimbo Jimbo, and remember, if you're not in the Kliq, see ya. And I wouldn't want to be ya.